Hey man, it's good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure. I am digging what you're doing, my friend. It's
Awesome.
it sounds great, man. It hit my desk and I was like, wow, yeah. That's one of those where I just go, yeah, that right there. That's what I want.
Thank you so much. Well, I have a blast doing it, so I hope that the people listening also have a blast just listening to it.
Yeah, definitely. And let me introduce you to everybody. I got Griffin Tucker with me today from Dallas, Texas. He has appeared on The Voice as well as American Idol, earning a golden ticket to Hollywood. Griffin Tucker and the Real Rock Revolution, that's his band, have just released their latest single, Gypsy Woman. And again, Griffin, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I got a guy that says I haven't heard Griffin Tucker. Uh, what's he sound like? What do I say to him?
Well, if you love rock and roll, I think you're gonna love me. I love classic rock. I love like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Queen, and I wear my influences on my sleeve. You really hear it when you listen to my music, and if you like all that stuff, I think you'll dig me a little.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing, and Gypsy Woman was the first thing I heard. And I was like, yeah, this is everything that embodies all of that. It's You listen to it and you hear that old Zeppelin, you hear that, that blues rock influence, and it's funky and it's got groove. And I think it really fits into the new wave of that classic rock revival thing with Dirty Honey and Greta and things like that. Uh, you're comfortable being in that group, I take it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really happy that it's starting to resurge. It started really with Greta Van Fleet really kind of kicking the door open for everybody. And of course, like Dirty Honey came along, Rival Sons really hit it big. These really just great bands. And I don't think the composition or like the general like vibe has changed as far as like the songs go, but production has gotten so much better as the years have gone by. And I think it really just adds a great touch to have that modern production on the classic, songwriting.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of songwriting, I know you did all the instruments on your Believe It record, um, which is incredible to really
Thank you.
think about. Did you write all your songs yourself too? Do you have anybody writing with you?
I always write all of my music, all of the instruments, all the arrangements. That's all me. But usually, all the lyrics are actually by my mom. My mom and I are really super close, and we love to write together. And that's pretty much the songwriting team behind the songs.
Wow,
Of course,
that's
sometimes I
great.
get help from other people, but for the most part, it's definitely me and my mom.
Man, that's cool. Not too many rockers can say that.
Yeah,
That's
Peter
pretty
Frampton's
great.
actually someone who comes to mind. Him and his mom were actually writing songs together in the beginning. So
Man,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool. That's one I haven't heard before, to be honest. Fantastic. Now, like I say, you play all the instruments on Believe It. Do you have formal training in those instruments or vocal training?
I definitely have vocal training, especially with like going through puberty. Of course, my voice was really high and then it went really low all of a sudden. So I really needed to have some training to figure out how I was going to make it through that without damaging my voice or losing my voice altogether.
Right, because you were
Um,
performing at a very before that, before puberty, and so it was a career somewhat before that.
Yeah, I of course most of my first singles like Girlfriend, Need You Badly, Gotta Get the Girl, other songs like More Than a Friend, All Along, those were before the change, and so that it features a much, higher, younger sounding voice with much higher notes and all that. But
Right.
whenever the change happened, I really had to be careful, especially with what I was singing. Like during that time, I couldn't go too high, I couldn't go too low, or else it would just kind of it just changed my voice altogether once that change was done. Um, but as far as like training for instruments, I really only had maybe a few months of piano lessons, like maybe like 6 months, something like that. maybe a few months of drums and guitar, but other than that, I'm pretty much completely self-taught.
Wow, crazy, man. Because I see, when you were a very young age, I think maybe I'm amazed, the video, and you're really young. I don't know how young you were there, maybe 11, something like that, probably.
Very young.
Yeah, but I mean, your piano skills are tremendous. And to sing and play too, just that natural talent's incredible. It's really
Thank you so much. Every time I go back to that video, I always look at my hands on the piano, and they're so just to trying to hit those notes.
yeah. Can you repeat what you said? I kind of lost you there a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
every time I look at that, maybe I'm amazed video, I always look at my hands when I'm on the piano because I have to stretch them out so much. They weren't like this big yet, so I was just like stretching to get like all three notes, and it's always funny to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you had tiny little baby hands, I mean,
Yes.
just like a different human being, and but the talent's still there. Crazy. It's just amazing that you taught yourself to do that, and you can sing while you do it. It's really great. Now you've got a band now, the Real Rock Revolution. You're not playing everything. You've kind of put those responsibilities and sharing that responsibility with a band. How does that change your dynamic in your music? You know what I mean? And are you sharing writing responsibilities?
With the Rock Revolution, I'm definitely aiming to be writing more with my band members. I know this song was co-written by good friend of mine. His name is Garrett. Garrett, he wrote some of the lyrics to this song Gypsy Woman.
Mhm.
And for some more songs coming up, I think I'm gonna be having a song released next month. I'm gonna be writing with like my friend Patrick Smith, who's on rhythm guitar. And of course, everyone's playing their own respective instruments on this song and songs in the future. Which definitely it brings more influences to the songs. It brings more diversity as far as the way these instruments are played, because I can only bring so much as far as what what influences I'm putting into each instrument and how each thing is grooving. Whereas with other people, it's different sounds and it's different, backgrounds that are kind of feeding into this sound. So it's really cool, and plus a camaraderie just to get to work with my very 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 good friends Patrick Smith and Joshua Sloan and Cameron on bass. It's really just fun just to get to do it in the studio and also be able to do it live. Because before I'd just be doing like first drums and then we move on to bass, and then but now we're getting to do like the whole rhythm track in the studio, and it's really just a different energy that it brings to the song, and it really shows.
Yeah, yeah. I love that full band kind of thing, man. And watching the video for Gypsy Woman, and I mean, you guys are just rocking out, and I mean, it's so natural. You look like you're really in your natural space. And when I heard, believe it's like one of my favorite songs now, man. I
Oh, thank you.
love that song. Um, but I felt, and watching the videos, and I mean, you're doing covers of like deep AC/DC tracks and, a ton of Beatles tracks, which is instant integrity when you do that kind of thing. But
Thank you very
like,
much.
what's next to the moon and stuff, you're not doing your shit all
Yeah.
night long. You know what I mean? So you know what's going on. You've listened to these records deeply. Uh, and that's just it's great to see that. With a band, do you I mean, the guys you have, are they as much into that form of music as you are?
They love classic rock. I mean, I know Patrick Smith. Two of his favorite bands are Queens of the Stone Age and Clutch, which really aren't bands that
Mhm.
I listen to, but it brings a whole different vocabulary to the table because he's not only focused in on like classic rock like I am. He loves more modern stuff than I do. So that kind of brings a different flavor to the table. And Josh really has eclectic taste. He loves like funk drummers and jazz drummers and really famous studio musician drummers. Um, but yeah, it's really just cool, just especially when writing with these guys. It's really cool to get to hear their thoughts on like, well, I heard this part in this one Queens of the Stone Age song or them Crooked Vulture song that I think we could kind of like poke at and kind of, bring that into this song that's more focused on like majority like an AC/DC type song or a Kiss song. It kind of blends it all together and makes its own sound, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's good to have that outer influence of other stuff with your band members. What made you decide to pick up more people and actually put a band together? What was the turning point there for you?
I really I've always wanted to have a band, like a set band that I could take with me everywhere, and they would just be like my guys that we could write together, we could always play shows together, and we can record in the studio together. And that's always been the goal. But up to now, I've been the most consistent person that I know. So I've always just kind of done everything myself. And I actually used to play to tracks that I would record myself. Like I would record like a track with just drums and bass, and then I'd be on stage with guitar and vocals. So it all sound like a full band, but it's all me. While it was very cool and technically impressive that it was all me, it's so much more energetic and so much more vibrant when there's four people on a stage all playing the same song together.
Right.
Because it gets very repetitive doing tracks every night.
Hmm.
But with four people who are, we're all just like remembering the songs at certain points. It's always fun to just be like, oh, that was new,
Right.
whether it was purposeful or not. Um, but it's always fun just to have a band, and I figured it was time to really get one together, and so we could record in the studio and also be playing shows together. So yeah,
Yeah, it's great. Do you plan on taking the show on the road?
I hope so. That's certainly the hope. We're definitely gigging in like the DFW area right now, but I hope that at some point we'll be venturing other areas of Texas, like Southern Texas, or maybe other states or other continents. You never know. I'd love to.
That would be pretty great. I'm in Chicago here, and I'd love to see you out here. I was just in Texas, actually. We were on Galveston Island, uh,
Ah,
which is really, really cool. That was my first time in Texas. So, yeah, I wouldn't
absolutely.
mind going back there to see you either. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, how do you plan on releasing music? I mean, you say you might have another single next month. Are
Yes.
we gonna get a full record? Are we gonna get an EP or just some singles here and there?
Honestly, I'm feeling it out because whenever I look at this, the way the music industry works and the way that people consume music, it's more single driven. So I'm definitely starting out with these singles. Of course, Gypsy Woman is our first single. I'm hoping we're gonna have another one in May. But we're definitely writing enough songs that could make a full album. We're just trying to figure out how we can release that and make it suitable for today's industry that's more just looking for like individual songs and not so much a full 10 song package. But honestly, I would love to be able to release just a 10-song package. So I hope that'll be coming up maybe by the end of this year.
Okay. Yeah, because you're a classic rock kid, you're used to that ebb and flow of a full record, I think. You listen to probably a lot of vinyl. Uh
100%.
yeah, see, and that comes across in your sound for sure. You're well versed in that. So, putting a record together and sequencing that, I would look forward to that myself. But I'm an old school guy,
Me
uh,
too. Me
I grew
too.
up, yeah, you are an old soul, and I grew up like that. So, I still love it, with putting on that first track and the journey to the last track is really an exciting thing for me. So, yeah, I look forward to however you choose to do this, definitely. Um, your piano skills, like I was saying, are tremendous. Do you have keyboards in this music that you have? laying around here that you're going to release in the future? Will we hear you play some keyboards?
At some point, yes. There are songs in the works that have piano and some keyboards in them. I know there's one song that I'm really, really proud of that has both piano and organ. So I'm really hoping that at some point I'll be able to release that and give that to y'all. But yeah, at some point I'm definitely hoping to be able to do some piano driven stuff. And maybe some synth stuff. Honestly, I never know. I always just kind of write in what I feel or what I'm listening to at the moment, mostly. But I'm hoping that at some point, I think the whole Rock Revolution will kind of do like a round robin where we're all kind of like doing different instruments on different songs. I think that'd be really cool.
Hmm.
But honestly, who knows? I'm definitely going to be releasing some songs that have piano and organ in them, but and honestly, I might release some songs that aren't exactly like as hard rock as Gypsy Woman. I might delve into other genres like some of my favorite bands would do. Um, it's all very much unpredictable just because I love writing. I don't like purposefully writing like, okay, I'm going to write this song today. I just kind of let it come out and let myself see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you're a huge, huge, huge Beatles fan. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would expect to hear some of that. I don't hear a lot of that influence in Gypsy Woman, of course, and it's a different kind of thing. But I can't see you doing a full record, or 10 singles where one of them at least doesn't knock on the door of the Beatles.
Right.
I mean, you are a huge, huge fan, which is so great to see, being that you are most comfortable in that hard rock, classic rock, blues rock thing. So to have that Beatles influence, it's going to be exciting to see how that creeps in, for sure. Now tell me about the American Idol experience. You auditioned, you got great feedback, and got to go to Hollywood. How was that experience for you?
American Idol was really surreal at certain points. It was crazy to be able to meet all of these people who share the same dream as I do. Um, of course, it was in New Orleans, and so that was where the first like judges audition was. And I went there, and it was just this giant, just like hotel conference room, basically, with filled with all of these different musicians and singers and artists who I talked to any one of them, and each one of them would give me like a different genre that they associated themselves with, or different artists that influenced them. And of course, you walk around and you hear some of them warming up and singing songs together, and it was really a beautiful setting and a very humbling setting to be in before I actually got to meet the judges, just to be able to meet the people who have the same dream as I do.
Hmm.
And some of them I'm still even good friends with today.
That's
Um, but when I went to go see the judges, that was even more just like, oh my gosh, I actually like know these people.
great.
Um, of course, Lionel Richie and Katy Perry and Luke Bryan. It was really crazy just to get to talk to them, let alone just get to share my gift with them.
Hmm.
Katie at one point didn't make it to. It was like a 20-minute audition, but only like maybe 30 seconds made it to TV. At one point, Katy Perry compared me to a young Paul McCartney, which I was like, I mean, that's all I need. I could just leave now.
Yeah, right. No doubt.
Right. So she likened me to Paul, and Lionel, which made it to TV. He said, "If this is what you can do at 15, I'm afraid of you." And that just completely just lifted my spirits. Luke was very funny. He was talking to me. He was talking to me about like what road I wanted to take with my music and what sound I was going for. And he likened it to horses, which is of course a very country boy type thing. Griffin, you have to pick a horse. If you want to go with the classic sound, you can do that. But if you want to go with the modern sound, you're going to have to pick that horse. You understand? It's like, oh, okay, Luke. But yeah, it was just very awesome just to get to experience all that.
Man, that is cool. And yeah, I mean, you know, That is an anxiety that only few can manage, I think.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Wow, wow. Now you also auditioned for The Voice. Um, didn't turn the chair, which is also the case with the winner for that season of American Idol, I understand. Maddie Poppy. Uh, she went on The Voice, didn't turn a chair. So I guess my question for you is, how hard was it for you? Because I mean, you go on there with expectations and you want to do well, and you get that kind of rejection. How hard is that to bounce back and turn it into something motivational?
That's a really, really good question. I guess once, because we spent a full month out in LA. Of course, I live in Texas.
Mhm.
For that whole month of October, I was out there for the whole month. We were just like signing contracts and meeting vocal coaches and hanging with, the people, the other contestants, and just doing all this different stuff in preparation for the actual auditions. It was really just a lot of anticipation leading up to that, and to end it all with, not getting a chair. It was really a lot to take in and to really just kind of sit with when I went back to the hotel room after that audition. Um, but it was, I think the reason why I really wanted to keep going is because music has always meant so much more than being better than the other person in front of or behind me.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was really a weird situation with how I actually got on The Voice, because they scouted me out when they looked at a video of me playing at the Texas Top 10 Under 20 competition, the guitar show.
Okay.
The funny thing about that is that it's a guitar competition, not a voice competition. So I
Right.
was pretty much just playing guitar. So I was really just puzzled as to why they wanted me at all. But it was really cool just to experience that. And then I guess the whole thing is that my aesthetic is so much more than just my voice. I'd say honestly, in my own opinion, I think my voice is the least of all of my attributes as an artist or a performer. I really love focusing on my instrument playing, my stage presence, and of course with blind auditions, they're turned away, so all they can hear is what they assume to be just a backing track and a voice. Um, and I was singing Heartbreak Hotel, which I hadn't sung probably for years before, since I got on that show. But it was really humbling just to be able to hear once they turned around, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're 14. You sounded like you were 23. I thought you just didn't connect with the song." Um, but it was really cool to get to hear their feedback, is because Adam said things like, you really have to connect with. I was 14. You really have to connect with the song, which of course, Heartbreak Hotel. I still haven't had my heart broken yet. Um, so he said, like, you really need to connect with the song. Someone like Elvis, he like ripped his heart out of his chest and just like laid it on the floor for every single song that he sung, even though none of them were his at all. But
Right.
he really just connected and poured his heart into it. But it was a really interesting and eye-opening experience for all those different reasons, and just getting to experience rejection and how I bounced back from that. It really made me stronger as a person.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty clear.
Thank you.
All of these great experiences, and they are great experiences, even when they're rejections like that. Uh, not too many people can say they have done that kind of thing. Period. And it does make you stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger is one of the truest things I've ever heard, really. Uh, as I get older, I'm learning that more and more. Um, what is the biggest challenge you've had in your life thus far?
Thus far, for the majority of since I started going solo when I was 11, and I'm 19 now.
Yeah.
So my biggest struggle, especially for the first half, half and change, I suppose, of being a solo musician and trying to prove myself and hold my own is people pigeonholing me as a kid artist, a kid musician. Oh, you're really good for a kid, you know? It was really tough to get out of that pigeonholing. Is just like, well, you may be good, but you can't really stand up to these people who have got experience on you. It was really tough to move past that, but just playing the music and just kind of sticking at it, just it just kept me going. And of course, now I'm here, and I'm taller. My voice is deeper. I've gotten a little more respect due to just those things. Um,
Right.
but it's definitely tough, and I feel for all of these kids who really want to make music, when music is their dream and they really want to be a musician. I really feel for these kids who really want to make it, and people who tell them that they're just like, oh, they're good for a kid. But it really it was a big test for me, just to be able to keep going, and to move past all those critiques of just about how young I was. And of course, I just had the attitude that I was, here to stay, and that I wasn't going to be bogged down by whatever people had to say about my age or whatnot. But yeah, it's really just about persistence when it comes to the big challenges in my life. And especially not only with being a kid, but also playing rock and roll. I was just like 11 years old when I was playing these rock and roll songs. And most people come up to me and was like, "Do you actually know what that song is about? I don't think you know what that song is about." And of course, sometimes I didn't, but there were still good songs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was really just, being determined and wanting to pursue this dream. And that's really what got me past those challenges.
Yeah. And you obviously have a deep love for music, and that's obvious, especially at the young age. Like I said, you're doing these deep cuts of these great bands, great records, and most kids don't know that stuff, much less be able to perform it. So, I really respect that, and I think a lot of people see that, and it gives you integrity and gives you respect for sure.
Thank you.
Uh, what's the first song I should play for somebody? I'm going to go to work and I'm going to say, I talked to Griffin Tucker. They're going to say, who? And I'm going to say, Griffin Tucker. Here he is. I'm going to play a song for them. What should I play for them first?
I think the first song that I would play to anybody who is first figuring out who I am, I would say Believe It, but Believe It has a lot of solos in it, and I don't know if everyone would gravitate towards that. Lead Me is one of my favorites that I've written. It's a shuffle, and I love the riff in it. I think it's one of the more out there riffs I've ever written, because it moves so much, and it doesn't just like stay in one place. It kind of like goes up and it comes down. It's really just a journey in a riff. And I love the chorus. It's very catchy. I find myself singing it or like replacing the words in some situations, just because it's such a catchy little thing, and it's so simple. And I think that would be the first song I would play to somebody.
Cool, cool. I'll make sure I do.
Well, all right.
Definitely. Is there a dream collaboration for you? There's a lot of people out there, and I know you're deep into that classic sound. What would your dream collaboration be?
I think the only correct answer as far as me, I was like, I couldn't like answer anybody else but Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney has been in this business for going on 60 years now. And it's really just amazing that he's still continuing to write new songs, and he's moved past tough these tough times in his life, like breaking up with the Beatles, breaking up with Wings, moving into reminiscing about the Beatles, but still trying to be himself while still talking about his previous bands. He's still trying to break ground, and even with his newest album, McCartney 3, he's trying new sounds, he's trying new genres, but he's still being himself. And his great melody making is always just prevalent in everything he does. So I think it'd just be really, really fun and really just eye-opening. Just get to peek inside his brain a little bit and get to write a song with him.
Man, I that would be incredible. And for me, it would be incredible to speak a word to the man. I don't know if I could. Uh, you know,
Oh my gosh, I'd love to.
I think I'd lose my voice and my mind before I'd be able to speak to him. But on Paul McCartney, when I remember first hearing Venus and Mars, and
Oh my
of course
gosh.
knowing the Beatles before that, and I thought he's totally reinventing himself in this, and he's redoing a whole other legacy. And then he's did it again. The guy is just, and Venus and Mars remains one of my favorite records of all time. Uh,
Oh yeah.
just yeah, he is the bee's knees, that's for sure. There's he is it. Uh and I don't want to take up your whole day, but I always ask this of younger players and younger artists, and especially somebody like yourself who seems so vested in this and so passionate about it. Do you have a plan B? If this music thing doesn't work out, that's got to be one of the toughest questions.
It definitely is. And I have thought about it. I just graduated high school a year ago.
Right.
A little less than a year ago. It'll be a year ago this coming month actually. Um, but I have thought about it, and I don't really know what I would do if it wasn't something involved with music. And the only other option I can think of is being an audio engineer, which is something that I've really wanted to really study, even if it wasn't my plan B, if I was going to use it alongside actually making my own songs. I would love to be able to mix my own songs, record my own songs, and just kind of not having to go through like a middleman of like conveying my my thoughts and my visions for whatever song. I would love to just be able to do that myself, but also, if I'm not making my own songs, I would love to be able to help other artists and kind of help the next generation of music and classic rock and all that type of stuff. I would love to be able to help other artists by recording and mixing their music. So that would be my plan B.
Very cool. Well, I don't think you're gonna have to go to Plan B, man. I really don't. You got some great stuff out there, and more great stuff to come. It sounds like so. I look forward to it, Griffin. Man, this has been a blast. I look forward to talking to you again. For now, where can people find you on social media and website? Where do we need to go?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It is now Griffin K Tucker. On Facebook, I think it's still Griffin Tucker Music. We just did like a whole like handle like change suddenly. But yeah, Facebook is still Griffin Tucker Music, and TikTok. I'm also on TikTok. If you just look up Griffin Tucker, I'm sure you can find me there.
Cool.
On YouTube, you can also do the same thing. Look up Griffin Tucker, and yeah,
Yep.
I'll be there.
There is a lot for people to see right now, and I recommend everybody get out there and see what this guy can do. And we are really anxious to hear what you have for the future, and I am looking forward to talking to you again, man.
Absolutely. You asked a lot of great questions, a lot of very, very deep questions. And I really really appreciated the time we had. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you, and we'll do it again, definitely.
100%.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
All right, thanks, Griffin. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.